Joining us now, Annette Rowland with the American Red Cross. Annette, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, tell us what you guys got going on in the wake of the tornadoes that ravaged the state of Mississippi over the weekend.
Well, you're right. There's a lot going on. A lot of areas have been affected for sure, and so we are doing everything that we can to make sure that people's immediate needs are taken care of. You know, we have shelters. We have 3 shelters open right now across Mississippi, and we're also in the community doing feeding in many of those areas where they're still without power and probably will be for weeks. So we're making sure people have warm food to eat. We're providing water and snacks, and that's a safe place to go for people that just don't have anywhere else to go.
Incredible. And you've been providing meals as well, correct?
Yeah, you're right. We have been going through, we provide meal at the shelter, and anybody's welcome to come pick up a meal. You know, you don't have to be staying at the shelter to get one. But in a lot of areas, you also see those big Red Cross vans, and they're circling through communities, making sure that people that are at home that may be cleaning up, that still have a home, making sure that they have food as well, because it feels good right now, thankfully, because it's the springtime weather, but it's still a daunting task to do that by yourself. So we want to make sure that people are being fed and that they're staying hydrated.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said 3 shelters set up at this point. Do you have a count of the number who were actually staying in the shelters?
Yeah, last night we had about 30 people staying in those shelters. That number, the good thing is that number is starting to decrease every day, but we're going to be here as long as needed. And if there's 30 people staying in the shelters, those are 30 people that need us to be there. And so our shelters will be there until they have somewhere where they can go.
Now, I know the Red Cross, of course, utilizes full-time resources that work for the organization, but also there are a number of volunteers that get involved in situations like this as well. Has that been the case here?
You're exactly right. I think a lot of people don't know that the Red Cross, it's 90% of our workforce, 90% is volunteers. That's amazing, and that's what we're seeing on the ground now. We've got over 200 people that are on the ground. The first people on the ground were from our communities right here in Mississippi. Some of them were impacted as well, but they were more concerned with taking care of their community than they were with dealing with what was going on in their backyard. And then the next couple of days, we started to see people come in from all across the country to help, that are proud Red Crossers wearing that vest. Anything we can do to help, we're here. And so we do have about 200 people on the ground, and those numbers will continue to increase because this isn't going to be a quick response by any means.
Right. So have you, has the Red Cross brought in Red Cross workers and volunteers from other states as well?
We have probably about 120 of us are from Alabama and Mississippi, and then the other 100, they are coming. Like I said, they're coming in today, driving in, flying in from all over the country. I know on just my team here of communications, I've got someone who came down from North Carolina, and also someone here from Chicago. We've got shelter workers who are here from Texas. Many of them also served during Hurricane Katrina and many of the other unfortunate disasters we've seen since that time. But one thing we can count on is that they are going to be here, and they are going to do everything that they can to help people cope.
So the organization, the Red Cross, I mean, you guys were obviously watching the weather. I know that there are a lot of resources that are paying attention to weather events across the country and across the world, for that matter, that just to be on the lookout and to be prepared to respond, to mobilize, knowing that there likely is to be a need.
Yeah, you're right. That's something that this is why we do this, and this is why we train 365 days a year. We are on the ground making sure that we're having these conversations with our partners, having these conversations with our communities, and teaching them preparedness skills for when disasters do hit. As you know, unfortunately, Mississippi is no stranger to disasters, and so it's even more important that we as a community be prepared for things like this, So we continue to have those conversations, have those practices, have those drills, so that when disasters hit, we can be ready to hit the ground rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, you're right. We have been hit with a number of catastrophic events like this here in Mississippi. As you said, we're no stranger to this. Something I wanted to touch on that I learned from serving as a board member of the American Red Cross, the Southwest Mississippi chapter, is that house fires are the disaster that the Red Cross responds to more than any, certainly in Mississippi.
You're right. Every 8 minutes. Unfortunately, the statistic around the country is every 8 minutes someone dies in a house fire, and that's sad. It's tragic, and it doesn't have to happen. And so, yes, that's why we put so much emphasis on people having those plans, having those conversations with their family members before things like this happen, so you know where to go, and also checking those smoke alarms to make sure that they're working because they save lives.
No doubt. Annette, what can the average person do to help out in a situation like we have here in the aftermath of the tornadoes that ripped across the state? What can they do either individually or with any sort of organizations that are involved in the recovery efforts, including the American Red Cross?
There's a couple things that people can do because everybody's situation is different, right? So, number one, if you are able, volunteer. It makes a huge difference, and it makes you feel good knowing that you are doing something that will help someone else. But it helps our community be stronger. You can sign up to become a Red Cross volunteer, or you can volunteer with your favorite organization, whatever it is. I encourage people to volunteer because it really is a rewarding experience. If you're interested in doing that with Red Cross, you can go to redcross.org/volunteer today. But I understand that not everybody's able to do that. So another way that you can help, if you're able, is by making a financial donation. Even something as small as $5 goes to help people. Like $5 can can provide a blanket for people in a shelter. And I don't know about people out there, but I am one of those people. I love a blanket. Even if it's hot, I love a blanket because it brings me comfort. And you'd be surprised how many people stay in our shelters that feel that same way. So just $5 can provide a meal to someone in a shelter. And it really helps us be able to identify what the need is and how to get the help that person needs. That's the quickest way. And lastly, for anybody, if you don't want to volunteer with the Red Cross, don't want to make a donation with the Red Cross, that's fine. I understand. Check out your Volunteer Mississippi. There's a lot of different volunteer opportunities on Volunteer Mississippi. And I know the United Way here has been taking in volunteers. Many of them have been helping us distribute food. So there's so many ways to get involved and help.
Yeah, great advice there. Appreciate that. A final question for you here is, to what extent and how does the American Red Cross coordinate with other emergency response entities? We've got FEMA, MEMA all involved in this particular event, law enforcement and others, and then lots of just other volunteer organizations. You guys coordinate with them as well, do you not?
We do, and that that goes to my point earlier that we're training for this every month, every day of the year, and so having those partnerships in place really helps us hit the ground, figure out, okay, this is who can do what. This is what we need. We're able to share resources. We're able to talk to each other. If we say, that this community needs the shelter at this place, then we can quickly set up that shelter, get it in place. If we need help getting supplies out of a large semi-trailer, United Way is one of those wonderful organizations. They'll find those volunteers and send them over and help do it. It really is, disaster response is such a community effort, and there's no one organization that can do it alone. And so that's why it is imperative that we have those relationships, and we're so grateful for our partners.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Annette, we certainly do appreciate you joining us today and giving us this update, and also just appreciate all the great work that the American Red Cross does, especially of course, the workers who are just labor tirelessly in these situations. As you said, this is what they prepare for, but also the army of volunteers that also work side by side with the American Red Cross to help these people in their time of need. Appreciate it. Thank you, Annette.
Thank you.